So that concludes Antigone's death march scene, and she is led away as a captive by the other soldiers. Creon remains on stage, and the chorus launches into a short ode. Um, it makes another series of references, not all of which are terribly important for our purposes here. Um, the general upshot of the entire ode is this idea at line 1000. There is some terrible power in destiny, and neither wealth nor war nor tower nor black ships beaten by sea can give escape from it. So there's this sense of destiny closing in. One of the ironies of that is that our most obvious attachment for that destiny closing in would be towards Antigone, because we see her being led away at this point. But we're about to see the noose tighten on Creon from this point forward. So after that short ode, Tiresias is led in. This is very similar to the way this scene was staged in Oedipus. He's again led by a boy. Although, as you'll notice, in Oedipus, this scene came very early and managed to set the tone for the rest of the play. Here it's coming very late. We're now at line 1034. But we have the Tiresias scene. Okay? And at this point, too, another difference between this scene here in Antigone and the Oedipus scene is that in this case, Tiresias has come on his own, of his own accord, whereas remember last time Oedipus sent for Tiresias to gain some information about the killer of Laius. But here, Tiresias has come because he says that Creon is on the razor edge of danger. And so Tiresias is now going to take a moment to explain why Creon is on this razor edge. Tiresias talks about the divinations that he's seen. He watched the birds. He saw distressed birds. Goes on and on. Cut out some organs and thigh bones. Burned them. And basically everything we know about his practice of augury. Okay, it's not terribly important unless we're interested in the history of what some of these signs were interpreted as. What we really want to know, though, is what this means for Creon. Now, one interesting thing, though, here is that some of the birds had been filled with the meat from Oedipus's son Polynices. So remember, the son Polynices was exposed, of course, and his flesh is being eaten as a carcass just by the side of the road there. Okay, and so what's happening is that because this body is being desecrated, the gods will not take our prayers or sacrifice. Okay, so we see then that a private decision by Creon is thus having these larger religious and public consequences. Okay, and now Tiresias launches in to try to make a specific point to Creon. He says, "All men make mistakes, but once mistaken, a man is no longer stupid nor accursed, who, having fallen on ill, tries to cure that ill, not taking a fine, undeviating stand. It is obstinacy that convicts of folly." Notice we've seen this behavioral injunction a number of times before. We've seen it against Antigone, and we've seen it against Creon, this idea that they're being obstinate, headstrong, unyielding. And Tiresias' point here is, look, bud, you've made a mistake, and it's not stupid to fix the mistake. It's stubbornness that is true folly. And so here is the specific claim that Tiresias says Creon can now fix. Yield to the dead man. Do not stab him. Now he is gone. What bravery is this to inflict another death upon the dead? So basically, Polynices has already served his punishment. He's already died in the civil war. There's no need to further inflict pain upon him or his family. Okay, so yield to him. All right. Now Creon responds. We know he's not going to yield right away. He's hot-headed. He's stubborn. He's obstinate. He threatens Tiresias, says that all you prophets um, make a profit from silver and gold. You all do this for money. Um, and so he says here, I shall not so tremble at the pollution to let you bury him. I am certain no human has the power to pollute the gods. So one thing we see here is not just Creon's refusal to to yield to the dead man and listen to Tiresias, but we see also his certainty, right? He was certain that his own decree was just, and now he's certain that he as a man cannot pollute the gods. Um, so he's presenting this as if it's religiously reverent, but in actuality, his behavior is irreverent, right? He's allowing a body to be desecrated against the God's command. Okay, so they have their back and forth. They break into the Sticomythia, the line-by-line exchanges. It's heated. It should echo for you what you heard when Oedipus and Tiresias argued in their play. Um, and so now they continue with that argument, and then Tiresias says that now if you don't yield, here's what's going to happen. You will not outlive many cycles more of this swift sun, so you won't live many more days before you give in exchange of one of your own loins bread a corpse for a corpse. Okay, so Tiresias is telling him, you're gonna give a body for the body that you've desecrated, and it's gonna come from your own loins. All right, it's gonna be one of your own offspring. Okay, and this is the reason why you're gonna do it. You have thrust one that belongs above below the earth and bitterly dishonored a living soul by lodging her in the grave. Okay, so look at the twofold nature of Creon's crime here. His first crime is desecrating the body. The second crime is taking Antigone and burying her alive. Okay, so Tiresias remarks, these acts of yours are violence. And Tiresias responds to Creon's accusation and says, I was not bribed. Look, my hands are empty. And there will be cries of mourning in your own house, Creon. All the cities will stir in hatred against you. So and he again compares himself to an archer. He says these are like arrows that archer like I launched. Okay, you so vexed me to anger. Notice again that these are really strong parallels between the Tiresias Oedipus scene and Tiresias Creon. In both cases, Tiresias didn't want to have to go this far, but he was provoked by the hubris, by the arrogance, and by the obstinacy of either Creon or Oedipus. Okay. And now we'll put here the stage direction, exit Tiresias. We know that he's exited because the chorus says so. The man has gone. All right. And now Creon and the chorus do a brief exchange. And Creon, did not yield in the presence of Tiresias, but now he is really having second thoughts. He says, my mind is all bewildered. To yield is terrible, but by opposition to destroy my very being with a self-destructive curse must also be reckoned in what is terrible. Okay, and the chorus gives him an injunction for what to do. Go now and bring up Antigone from her cave, and go bury the dead man. Those are the two things Tiresias said you did wrong, and you need to go fix that now. Okay, and Creon says how hard this is for him. I must give up what my heart would have me do. So this is him, showing that he's now willing to yield and compromise, but this is a challenge for him as ruler and leader. And he says he gives the command to all his soldiers. We're going right now. Take axes. We're gonna free her. And he says, I bound her myself, and myself I will free her. All right. And notice his concluding lines here, this couplet: I'm afraid it may be best in the end of life to have kept the old accepted laws. So now he's acknowledging that he may have made an error, he may have made a mistake, right? We're going to see this. Oedipus had his Hamartia, now we're seeing Creon's. Okay? We have a brief choral ode. Again, this is really not so much for its content as it is for just a chance for the actors to change. We need to get Tiresias needs to, whoever was playing that needs to change into the messenger. And so now we're going to stop at the end of this choral ode and we'll begin with the messenger's arrival.